again at the very lovely corner of Glenwood and Lunt. We are in the heart of Chicago's Rogers Park. We're up here on the stage at the Heartland Cafe, and I am Michael James. I am your host for another edition of Live from the Heartland Radio, brought to you over WLUW 88.7, Chicago Sound Alliance. And we've got three wonderful guests here today. We're going to have our state representative from the 18th District, Robin Gable. And then a little bit after that, we're going to have Pablo Menendez del Grupo Mezcla from Havana, Cuba, who performed the other night and are about to get on a plane and head for New York. And then we're going to have our political commentator, our political analyst, Don Rose, coming on up. So stay tuned for the next hour. We're going to have a really good time, and we're glad that you are tuned in. I'm Michael James. I'm your host for this morning's edition, so here we go. Good morning to you, Robin Gable.
Good morning, Michael.
I'm so glad you showed up. I saw you the other night, and I said, let's get you on the radio, and here you are. So what's it like being one of the newest members of the Illinois State Legislature?
Well, it's very exciting. I was appointed just the last 3 weeks of session, and they're very hectic, crazy weeks, getting hundreds and hundreds of bills out every day. And every day when I sit in the State House, I am just reminded about the important work that we do and how many people it affects, and it's awesome.
Have you been able to, what are your favorite things? You dealt a lot in your past with women and children, and do you find that you're able to move in those circles on those kind of committees yet? How's it set up for a new person?
Well, I requested some committees, and they put me on all the committees I asked for. I'm on health disparities. I'm on the Energy and Environment Committee because I'm a big believer in public health, and I feel that energy and environment is an important part of public health. I'm also on mass transit because from Rogers Park all the way through the North Shore, public transportation is very important to us. I'm also on appropriations for human services. So it's been great. Most of the committees I'm familiar with, but energy and environment has been really a learning curve and a learning experience for me. My first bill actually was on health care. It was doing some more screening for people entering nursing homes, risk factors for HIV and hepatitis B because there was an outbreak in the southern suburbs. So I was thrilled to have that bill passed and looking forward to working on more issues.
Well, Robin, I've known you a long time, and I know that you have a progressive background and your heart is with the people. What's it like for someone who was an outsider and probably critical of government to suddenly be thrust into this position of having won the 18th district and with a big chunk of votes, actually enough to put you over, coming from the north end of the 49th Ward? We're very proud of that role we played. And so what's it like being there in the legislature, in the government? It's, it's just in the press, it's all the time criticism of our elected representatives and the budget problems and the shortfalls and the graft and the corruption. What's it feel like to you being someone who was pushing that and now is inside?
Well, when you sit in that room and you really meet your fellow legislators, you realize that most people down there really do have a good heart and really want to do the right thing. And I've been reaching out across the aisle. I've met Republicans. And since I have a long history of coalition building, I already knew many of the Latino and African American legislators down there. And I really go around and talk to everybody and make sure that I get to know their interests, that they get to know my interests, and that we can really figure out a way to work together to solve some of these really critical problems that the state is facing.
What do you see as the most critical ones that we really have to face up to?
I think that it truly is the budget. I mean, our budget is in a complete crisis. We are now about 6 months behind in paying our bills. And the budget that we ended up passing for next year will also put us another 6 months behind unless we have some serious revenue increases in January. So I think it's the economy. I think it's jobs. I've been looking at job creation and how to figure out how to get more jobs in Illinois. And I think that that's going to be the crux of our problem.
Well, what are the chances of people really working together on these things when we have an election coming up? I mean, is there really the will on the part of either Democrats, regular or progressive, or Republicans to get stuff done, or are people just kind of posturing, getting ready for the next election?
Yeah, the election is in November, and I have to tell you, I was a little disappointed when I said, can we talk about tax revenue, increasing the taxes? And they said, no, the polls look terrible. The polls are just terrible for doing that. And my view always has been that polls are one thing, but it's important for our legislators to lead. And it's unfortunate that it looks like we're not going to be able to do that this November, but I'm hoping that we can do it in January. So I'm really going to be spending time this summer talking to leaders in the legislature and really trying to figure out a way that we can come up with a comprehensive tax reform plan for January.
How do you see us getting any more money? I mean, how can we move forward if we're not raising taxes? We're already behind. Is there a slimmer of hope, a slim glimmer of hope?
I mean, I think so. We're not raising taxes before November, but I'm hoping that after that we can increase the state income tax and do it in a progressive way so that lower income folks don't pay as much of their salary towards it. I think we also can look at reforming our sales tax, which right now just taxes, what is it called? They don't tax services. We just tax commodities. And I think that our economy has changed a lot. We now have 65% of our economy is services. And I think we have to look at taxing services as well. And if we tax everything, we can reduce the tax rate for everything. So then folks can pay less in taxes for their goods and also then pay for services.
As a new person coming in, I'm going to push this again. Who do you see, or how do you see the Democrats lining up? I mean, is there a real will to make change? Is there an entrenched existing status quo kind of people?
Yeah, I think that many people I mean, 55 Democrats are willing to vote for a tax increase. That's a lot. Out of
how many?
Out of 70.
No kidding.
So that's a huge majority. And what they feel is like tax increases have always been passed with bipartisan support, and that the Republicans are being the party of no. They won't put one vote on for a tax increase at this point in time. And we just don't think that's fair. It's not right. It's not fair. Everybody needs to take responsibility for improving the budget, and hopefully in January we can do that.
What's your sense of Mr. Madigan, who takes a lot of heat from progressives, obviously is the key guy and most powerful person in many ways in the state? Yeah. What can you say anything about Mr. Madigan?
You know, I've only been there 3 weeks. I've spoken to him maybe once, and then a nice hello in the hallway. He called me when my dad was in the hospital, so he has a human side. But, you know, him and a few other leaders control which bills come out of rules. So he does have a certain amount of power, but they've allowed me to get my bills out and move bills forward. And I think that there's a lot you can do in the state legislature that Madigan will support.
Robin Gable, as a new member of the state legislature, you are from the 18th district, and that takes us from the somewhat lumpen proletariat, rough-edged, and sections of Rogers Park, all the way on up to into the suburbs, where it's a much more bourgeois, hoity-toity, or better-off community. What's you got a chunk of votes down at this end? What kind of outreach are you doing to your constituents throughout your district?
Well, I've come to Rogers Park many times for the opening of the, what was it?
We had actually the farmers market open, and you were there. I saw you smiling away.
I was pleased to be there. I plan to participate in many events happening in Rogers Park. I'm working with the Rogers Park Community Council. To me, as an elected official, it's really important to represent your district in general, but also the people who need your help the most. And that's what I plan to do.
Give me one thing that you really want to see happen in your tenure, your long tenure to come in the state legislature. What do you want to be remembered for?
Really developing a comprehensive job program to really bring more jobs to everyone in Illinois.
Well, I'm looking forward to watching you grow in your job. I'm glad to be your friend, and I want to thank you for coming on Live from the Heartland. Will you come back often?
I will, Michael.
All right, let's have a big round of applause for Robin Gable, 18th District State Legislature.